goodness. All right. We are literally wrapping up week 11, which means we are coming into week 12, which means next week is our final episode. We will announce a winner of season 11 of The Biggest Transformation. Like, how are we already here? Like, how are we already here? But let's not talk about that yet. Let's jump on the scales and see how you did last week. Katie, 178.8. Woohoo!
Carmen, 233.8. 233.8.
So I have our standings. Season 11, week 11, after 11 weeks, in 6th place, down 13.2 pounds, 5.38%, Anya. And Anya, I know you got involved in this program to be a healthy mother and to not gain all the weight, but did you think 11 weeks in you'd be down 13 pounds while being pregnant?
No, it's wild. It's wild. At this point, I'm usually like 40 pounds up plus.
So that's like a 50-pound swing from where you're normally at.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That
Thankful.
That is crazy. And your hair looks so good tonight too, by the way.
Thank you.
Looking all cute. All right. 5th place, down 21.7 pounds, 9.41%, Svetlana. In 4th place, down 17.2 pounds, 10.36%, Rosie. In 3rd place, down 28.5 pounds, 10.86%, Carmen. In 2nd place, down 33.9 pounds, 33.9, 11.53%, Angela. Today I was like 33 pounds. Holy guacamole. In 1st place, down 28.8 pounds. So Angela's crossed the 30-pound mark. Carmen and Katie are both coming up on 30 pounds, which is nuts. 1st place, down 28.8 pounds, 13.87%, Katie. Holding it down, sister. But tonight, we are going to talk about something that is really kind of a magical thing in the world of, just in the world in general, but we'll obviously link it to health. But the thing we're going to talk about tonight, it doesn't ever actually happen. It's created by us or not created by us. And the magical thing we're going to talk about tonight is momentum, the power of momentum. And momentum only occurs when you, through consistency, through consistent forward pressure, through consistently moving forward, okay? This is where we gain momentum. And momentum is when things magically happen. It seems faster. It seems less, like it takes less effort. It seems like, so for instance, my first 90 days, when I recommitted to lose weight back in 2014, after we had Gia, my first 90 days, I lost like just over 30 pounds, which was great, right? Like I lost just over 30 pounds. And my second 90 days, I lost over 40 pounds. So how did I lose more? Which makes no sense, right? You would think she has less to lose. How did she lose more? Because I had created momentum. My first 90 days, I was very inconsistent. I'll say my first 45 days. My first 45 days, I was very inconsistent with when I worked out, how hard I pushed. I was very inconsistent with all the things I had to do. Like I knew through business, consistency was key, right? But my first 45 days, I would be like totally on plan for 2 or 3 days, and then I wouldn't get all my water in, or I wouldn't get my eating window in, or I would have a nibble or a snack, or, just little gray zoning here and there. Or I'd have a cookie, but I was still losing weight. I was still getting results. Was I getting my maximum results? No, because I was gray zoning. And so somewhere in my 45 to 60 day, I realized, okay, I plotted it on the calendar and I realized if I lost 1 pound per week, 2 pounds per week, and 3 pounds per week, how much, like when I would get to my goal weight. And it really motivated me because I was like, wow, if I stay dinking around and I lose 1 pound a week, it's going to take me this long. If I lose 2 pounds a week, it's going to take me this long. If I buckle down and I shut my freaking pie hole and I only eat what's on plan and I drink my water and I shorten my eating window and I lose 3 pounds a week, I could get here in this amount of time. And it just like, when I put it on the calendar, it allowed me to see that, wow, the more I dink around, the longer I'm going to have to spend in the focus phase. I wanted to get to the freedom phase, but my own inconsistency was prolonging the focus phase. And it was the first time I had the thought of, I just need to get from point A to point B as fast as I can, healthily. Like, I'm not going to starve myself. I'm not going to work out hours a day. I'm going to do my workout. I'm going to eat my calories, but I need to quit messing around. I need to treat this like my job. I need to treat this as if everything I didn't do, it was going to cost me $100 every time. Like if I didn't eat within my window, it was going to cost me $100. If I didn't get my water in, it was going to cost me $100. If I didn't work out, it was going to cost me $100. If I had for every nibble or cheat or treat, it was going to cost me $100. Would I have the pretzel if I had to pay $100 to eat that pretzel? No. It's not. Would I eat the half a chicken nugget off my kid's plate if it was going to cost me $100 to eat it? Heck no, right? Like, I wouldn't be doing these things if it was going to cost me money. And so it was like, okay, if I treated this like my job and I was afraid of losing money and getting fired, I would be doing this much differently. And from that point on, I had this different perspective of, no, this is going to be like my job. Like, I'm going to treat this as if I don't do it, I could get fired and I would be losing money. And so from that moment on, it was like, okay, I knew that to create momentum, I had to be consistent. And I would go like 3 or 4 days doing all the things, and then I would have a day or two not. I'd go 5 or 6 days doing all the things, and then I'd have a day or not. So it was constantly, here's what I was doing. I was killing all forward progress. I was killing all of my momentum. And I want you to think about a car for a second, okay? If your car stalls out on the side of the road and you have to have somebody help you push it, and all of a sudden let's just say your car stalls, you're on a highway, you get it off the road, and these guys pull up and they're like, hey, we're going to push you into this parking lot over here. You stay in the car, you steer, and we're going to push. Well, the hardest part about them pushing is what? It's getting the car going. So let's just say they're like, all right, you ever pushed a car and you're like 1, 2, 3, and then everybody goes forward. And as long as you maintain forward pressure on the car, it keeps moving. But I want you to imagine for a moment, okay? We do the 1, 2, 3, the car gets going, it moves 5 feet, and you slam on the brakes. The guys behind you are going to be like, whoa, lady, come on. Okay. All right, guys, let's go again. Ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. You get 2 feet and whoa, slam on the brakes again. This lady is smoking crack. All right, come on, guys, let's go. 1, 2. And then you goes 10 feet and you slam on the brakes again. This is what many of us do inside of our health journey. We do all the things and then we don't. We do all the things, and whenever we cheat, whenever we don't do the things, it's like slamming on the brakes. It is literally halting all momentum that we have created. And so this is why you'll notice on your trackers, it has a how many days have you been consistent? And you're supposed to be counting. 1, I've had 2 days consistent, 3 days consistent, 4 days consistent, 5 days consistent. Man, I've got a streak of 6 days. And then every time you don't do one of the things, what happens to your consistency counter? It goes back to 0, which means every time you're in those low numbers, how much momentum do you have working in your favor? Like none, very little, because you keep killing it. And so it was somewhere around 45 to 60 days when I put this together. And I was like, all right, if I really want to get to my goal, I need to build up momentum, because this is where things magically happen faster than they normally would. And so this is where I literally made the shift. I started seeing my weight loss as my job, and I stopped messing around, because I realized every time I got off track, it was costing me days and weeks. Days and weeks. So for instance, like when I got off track for a couple of days, like Rosie did. Well, when I look back at Rosie's thing, that's going to cost Rosie 4 weeks. Literally 4 weeks. When you look at it, it took her 4 weeks to get to where she's gotten. She undid it in 3 or 4 days. Right? And so when you do that so much, number one, it causes frustration. When you go backwards because of your own choices, you're so frustrated. And then you look at the scale and then you think about where you could have been. And this is why people quit, because you can't stay in a state of frustration for so long before you're like, that's it, this isn't worth it, it's not working. Well, no, it's working. You're not working. It's always us. It's never the thing, right? So when I made the decision that, no, I'm going to get serious and I'm going to treat this like my job, and here we go. So from that day forward, it was like, okay, how many days can I get consistent? How many days can I get going without missing anything? I made the list of all the things, same list you guys have. And it was like, all right, the first goal was making it to 7, because I don't know if I'd ever made it to 7. So it's like, I'm going to make it a whole week without missing anything. Like, let's go. And see, something magical happens when you get over 7, because then it's like, oh gosh, can I get to double digits? Can I get to 10? Well, now can I get to 2 weeks? I made it to 14. Can I get to 3 weeks? And see, when that number starts getting bigger, now you have more to lose. Because when that number is at 21, how many of you know that you're much more motivated to get your water in if you know it's going to be 0 tomorrow? You're much more motivated to make sure you have your containers. You're much more motivated to make sure you don't. I look at that pretzel and I'm like, no way in hell are you worth going back to 0. I look at the French fries. I look at the half-eaten chicken nugget that somehow looks so good to us. But when you got to reset that thing, I mean, literally, it's probably got drool on it, your kids' teeth marks. And here we are. Oh, let me eat this chicken nugget. It don't even look good when there's a cost. I mean, I looked at chicken nuggets like completely differently. So my point is, like, all of a sudden it was like, wow. And do you know, so often when I'll tell people I lost 161 pounds in 13 months, I had calculated it was going to take me 18 months to do it. I did it in 13 months because of momentum. My question for you this week is, what has been the thing that you're most proud of in the past 12 weeks?
What am I most proud of in the last 12 weeks? Bar blend, obviously, Svetlana. No, but I really do. I am proud of that, because there were many days I did not want to. And there were days it was midnight and I was tired and really didn't want to, was done. But I got up, came up here, and then I felt great. And I was very proud of myself for overcoming that. So yeah, I think that's probably, and the water that I love.
To the question, right? So right off the bat, I think the most proud I am of is all the way different eating. So, and I'll reference Dennis because he watches these episodes, but the very first time I went there, our first week, And I think he might remember this, but he was sitting on the couch. We're just like, I'm like, hey, what are you thinking about? And he's like, literally, like, I can't remember verbatim, but he said, so Svetlana, like, after all of this is done, when it's all over, how am I supposed to eat? And I'm just like staring at him like, are we like on the same program? Like, what is going on? Because he's like, yeah, how do I eat? Because all of this, like, I know I had like the whole estrogen dominance, insulin resistance, like you name it. Like, I know I had a non-alcoholic fatty liver, or maybe still healing it, but I was like staring at him like, yeah, Dennis, this is like a good question. And I think this whole like what 10, 11 weeks, I am just blown away like how it's actually possible to not eat all the other stuff that we're used to and like take out. Like, we have not gone out for this whole entire time. What, like, if someone had told me that this is possible before, I would have been like, are you living in the 21st century? Like, seriously, like, the getting in the car, I always had to go through the drive-through, just like Carmen, had to get my coffee, had to get some snacks, like classic. And so to like completely, even my toddler the other day, I bought bell peppers for myself to cut them up and to snack on. And he was like, these are so good. This is a 3-year-old. And he is like, I thought he was addicted to sugar. And I'm like looking at him, he ate one bell pepper. He proceeded to eat the other bell pepper, and then he asked for some more. And I was like, I ran out, kid. I don't have that many red bell peppers at home. So, but just that, I mean, I'm so proud of just how I'm eating in general, that that's huge for me.
So, the thing that I'm most proud of in these past 12 weeks is not quitting. It's like getting up and doing my workouts every day and, just being as consistent as I possibly can. And like Carmen said earlier, we are human, so we do have a few slip ups. So there's definitely work to do there. But so far, I'm looking at my tracker real quick, and I'm like on a 5-day streak. So I'm like, woohoo! I'm gonna have to go back in the older wasn't and check that out. But I don't think I went that far yet. So we're in a good roll here. And also, it's like not just checking the boxes, but like participating in the group and opening up and allowing myself to be vulnerable with you guys and doing that work. I think that's definitely setting not just me up for success, but the whole group as well.
Okay, I think it's eating the way I've been eating. Even the other day, my 8-year-old, the bottom three are so close in age. I always have to, it takes me a while to remember who's who and how old they are. My 8-year-old, he's like, baby girl's name is Palace. And he's like, you're feeding Palace so healthy. And because he has to eat healthy too. So he's like, and you're feeding Palace so healthy. So him just realizing that and noticing that, I'm like, you know what? I am feeding her very healthy foods. And that's the first time I've ever fed any of them this healthy in, in utero. And also the other day it was a late workout. I didn't work out in the morning, and you know how that goes for me sometimes. So I'm like, I had to rally up the troops. And like, Jeremiah, if you don't work out with me, it's probably not going to happen. I need you to work out with me in order to work out. And so he worked out with me, and I work out with Lacey, and I love that girl. Her energy is so freaking amazing. And then he hasn't worked out with me since I did prenatal bar blend, which was like at the beginning. And he got a sweat, like he was dripping. And he's like, you do all of this? And I'm like, to me now, it's normal. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's my normal workout. What do you mean? It's nothing special. And he's like, whoa. And I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I guess it's, it's challenging, but it was just so funny to me and how much stamina and strength that I've gotten, because an elder, I remember when I was first pregnant with my first, an elder told me she got a miscarriage because she was working, it was a physical, it was a laborsome job that she had. And she believed that that's why she had the miscarriage. So with all of her other kiddos, she had like an office job. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, so that means I cannot be active. So even this is my first time ever in my life working out one time. I've never worked out any, like not even a hint of a workout with the others. Maybe a walk, the slowest stroll you can possibly think was what I was doing with the others. And so I went against all the fear that was put into my head from, I was 20 when I first got pregnant with my first. And that's like 13 years ago. So like 13 years of just, unhealthy thinking was undone just by being in this program and working out now. So I'm very proud of those two things.
Okay, I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I'm proud of several things, but I think overarchingly, I'm proud of not snacking anymore. Like, I'm not just eating all day long off the kids' plates, out of the trash. I really can't remember if I've done that, but I've done other things. I used to pull cigarettes out of the trash, and it's the same thing. Like when I was trying to quit, I'd like smoke half of one, throw it and then dig it back out, smoke it, anyway, it's an addiction, like even with food. So, yeah, and like not treating myself at the grocery store. Like I saw the rack of chocolate today and I'm buying all the stuff and it was a stressful shopping trip. And usually I just snag something and okay, I deserve this because that was really hard. And I didn't do it. I'm like, it like doesn't even, it's not calling me anymore like it used to. And yeah, so I'm just proud of all those little moments where I've chosen to not do what I used to do. And it's really added up and made a difference.
As we come into this 12th week, it's realizing that we are at this place in time that I believe each and every one of you was handpicked for. When you think about the fact that you met the person you met, or you saw a video on YouTube that you saw to hear about this program, and then you had the cojones to apply for it, whether you heard it from someone, you were given the link by someone, or you saw the link in a description box, you said, I'm going to apply. You sent in a why video. Out of hundreds of applications, you were hand selected to be here in this season for such a time as this. And so as we come into this last week, it's giving it all we've got, leaving nothing on the table, looking back and saying, there's nothing worse than looking back and knowing you had more in you and you just chose not to give it. You had your best and you gave it 80% or you gave it 70%. That we would come into this last week of phase 1 and we would be able to look back and say, I gave it everything I've got. I left nothing in the tank. I did everything to the best of my ability. And when you can do that, that's all that I will ever ask of you, is to give it your best.